Hey all, it is time for Jason's Thoughts. Well, my last video on Optimus Prime had stimulated some thoughts about the 80s and cartoons and where leadership maybe was embedded into my young brain as a child on Saturday morning. And I got to thinking about other cartoons that I watched. And one that came to mind was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I realized there's a couple stories in this one. One is about leadership, and one is also about the diversity of a team. So let's go with that. So for those that follow the cartoon, or ever followed the cartoon or the movies, you'd probably know that a rat named Splinter was their actual leader. He's the wise one. He was never really into battles too much. But he was their actual true leader. And in reflection of the four turtles, I realized that alone, standing alone, each one of them really wasn't that great. And you can take this as dynamics in a team, or someone as a leader, as an individual with only really one talent. Either case being problematic. So let's talk about each one. So Donatello. Yeah, he's the science guy, he's the stats guy, he's the numbers guy, he's the creator. Now alone, that is a great asset to have. He can look at numbers for hours, he can figure things out, and that's his strength. Then you go to Michelangelo, who's totally the people person. Always one to connect with people, get people's buy-in, have fun, and so on and so forth. Then you had Leo, who's really the rule follower. He's the take the directions and go from point A to point B and don't derail from it. You just stay on path, stay on course no matter what. And the last, of course, is Raphael. And he's the one that's full of passion. Now that can be positive passion and it can be negative passion. And a lot of the times he certainly got into some angry fits. But he was full of passion. Now when you think of all of these key attributes that I would say are their strengths, when you define each one on their own, they all have gaps. Someone like Donny, who's totally into all the stats, he spends all his time with his head in the computer and he's not focusing on other things. He just thinks that the stats will tell him everything he needs to know. The science he can create, algorithms and Excel docs and all that stuff. It's good to a point. Then you have Mikey, who's a people person, and a people person always feels good. People like to be around them. But when push comes to shove, a lot of times the people person is missing some of the direction, the specifics on what they want from their team. They're very vague, but they're all about making sure everybody's happy. And that's a good thing, but there's still a lot of gaps. Leo, like I said, he's a follow directions and don't derail. Start at point one and go until you're finished. And again, not a bad thing. However, things aren't always designed and built perfectly, especially in leadership. You're gonna have to derail from what the instructions were. You're gonna have to ad lib. You're gonna have to pause. You're gonna have to scrap. You're gonna have to throw things out. And that definitely can go sideways. And then last, again, Raphael, passion. Passion is a great thing. It can be your greatest asset. It can be also your worst enemy. And I think it's probably the one that most people can follow the easiest, because people will follow people that are passionate, and usually that comes with positivity as well. But as I said, there is a dark side, and sometimes people that are extremely passionate that don't have structure like Leo, or they don't have the ability to look at stats, they can be really lost, and they also don't know which way to go from. So this is my point, was you got 4 individuals, and again, if they went out on their own, they always got beat up by the Foot Clan, so you knew that wasn't good. But combined, they were basically unbeatable. It didn't matter how many people, how many ninjas, how many Foot Clan were coming after them. Didn't matter what bad guys were after them. Combined, they would always get it done, because those 4 attributes that each of them have strength in, combined in a team, was unstoppable. So I think that goes 2 ways. It could be your team. If you're a team of 4 or 5 or 6, if everybody's a Donatello, you're only gonna have people that just go by the book. If you have a bunch of Raphaels and everybody's passionate, well, chances are something's gonna blow up, because someone's gonna say something that the other one doesn't like, and they're passionate people. But if you have a little mix of everything, you actually end up with the strongest team. And I think that goes from an individual leader as well. If you go to their leader, Splinter, he too had all 4 of these tributes, but in one place, in his brain. And so when you look at your own individual leadership, I think it's great to see what areas you may be really strong at, and maybe what areas that you may have opportunity in. In either case, team or individual leader, I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can tell us a lot. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, really, really fun to go back to my childhood and talk about cartoons. And I think it's pretty funny how these leadership attributes truly are everywhere around us, including Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s. Take care, all.